dating apps,
No matches?
Oh, another match.
Why can't I get a match?
first dates,
It's a date!
Like, as a date?
relationship advice,
I've had a few relationships gone bad.
and more.
Okay, yo, you're gonna love this.
Let's talk dating with Brock Olson.
Joining me on the line right now, Chattanooga-based dating expert Brock Olson to talk dating. Brock, how are we doing today?
Doing really well, Gino. Thanks for having me on today, sir.
Of course, we're going to help out Hits 96 listener Johnny. She wrote in with a question. This is kind of different than what we've tackled before. We may have touched on it in previous episodes, but she actually wants to talk about kind of the reverse on what people usually ask you for, kind of mending relationships and saving the relationship. But Johnny wants to know how to get out of one. We'll get into this question, and we'll get into it, and we'll see what your opinion is. We can do your first take, and then, of course, we'll play some more songs, and then we'll get your full analysis coming up at 5:45. I'll read it to you right now. He says, "Hi, Brock. I listen to you every time you come on, and I love what you have to say, but here's a question I don't think I've heard you talk about yet. How do you break up with someone the right way? You talk a lot about saving the relationship and thinking of your partner, but sometimes it's not all daisies and things just don't work out. What do you say to someone when you need to end things? Is there a proper way? Thanks for helping a girl out. I listen every day." And of course, that was signed by Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny, again, thank you so much for writing this in. We do cover pretty much what, Gino, it seems like how to maintain a happy, healthy relationship, how to get into one. We don't really talk too much about how to exit a relationship that's not feeding us or just isn't healthy or, we're just not feeling that connection anymore. So, Johnny, thank you again so much for writing this in because a lot of people have this question. So I said at the very beginning, the root of this decision has to come from you picking your happiness above all. That has to be your number one priority, and I'm glad that you're at that point. So I'm going to give you a couple tips on how to break up kindly and how to do it cleanly. Tip number one is going to be you don't need to have a bunch of reasons while you are breaking up. I know that whenever we are confronted with the person who we have shared some time and we've maybe even been in love with, like we want to give like 15 reasons why it's not working out, and that's just not necessary because what ends up happening is they will probably dissect all of those multiple reasons when really all you need are two really good reasons. Honestly, you just need one, but having two, just sticking to two and not like fluttering all over the place and not sounding convinced of your own perspective, you really need to make sure you have just those two. My second tip is don't attack and don't argue. I know this is going to be a really emotionally charged moment, but don't attack them. That's not going to help anything. It's going to make them angry, and you don't need to start an argument right now. You can actually have a pretty civilized conversation saying why the connection is no longer there, why the compatibility has kind of shifted and you're not feeling that anymore. And it can, the conversation can remain respectful. So try to keep it, as kind, don't attack, and just do your best not to argue. My third tip is don't try to soften the blow of this situation by offering friendship or communication or anything like that afterwards. When we're going through the breakup process, because it's painful and we can feel the way that our partner, or should I say our future ex-partner, is feeling, we want to take that pain away. And so what we end up doing is we offer friendship. Oh, we can still be friends, or we can still hang out. It's like, that's not the type of dynamic that you're wanting to set up. You really want to make sure there's a very clear dynamic that's being set up from this point forward, which is we're no longer together. We're not seeing each other. We're not communicating the way that we used to. I'm a firm believer in there not being communication for a very long time afterwards, because what ends up happening is, couple weeks, couple months, even if you guys are communicating, you don't allow yourself to actually do a proper emotional and mental reset. And the person you're with also doesn't grasp that this is really the end, that the relationship has come to an end, and you kind of give false hope. So when you give this information, make sure that you're drawing very clear and distinct lines that you guys and your dynamic has completely shifted, that there's no friendship, and that there is no communication afterwards. And my final tip is just stay firm. Reaffirm the reasons that you are doing this. The last thing that you want is for them to message you a couple of months later, you not remember why the breakup was necessary to begin with, and then you re-enter the relationship again and you start this type of toxic cycle. And I've seen so many people do that. And Johnny, I don't want to see you into that type of situation as well. So those are my 4 tips on how to break up very kindly and properly in 2023.
I think that's very good, Brock. Thank you. And of course, we have to stay away from the line was we'll just be friends.
Yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, try to leave that in 2022. We're not doing that anymore.
Part of that clean cut process is when you're done and walk away. I think that is sound advice. Thank you again, Brock, for doing that. And thank you to Johnny for writing in with her question. Now it's your turn. If you're listening and you have a question for Brock, send me an email and we'll get it on the air. That's Gino, Gino, at WDODradio.com. And of course, you can reach out to Brock on social media as well as at brockolson.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can reach out to me at any stage of relationship, even if you're completely single. I'm sure we can figure out a way to make sure you have the best dating experience as possible.
Excellent. Brock, thank you so much for the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Gino. Thank you.